Hello everybody, Shooty here again. Take two of this video. I was just starting to edit this and I could hear in the background the sound of a YouTube video playing, and I didn't realize it, but I was like watching a YouTube video when I was recording this, or well, before I was recording this, and I forgot to pause it, but I like turned the volume way down on my PC so you couldn't like hear it. But um, long story short, audio for this was ruined, so I have to restart, which is fine because I can try to probably maybe do this a bit better this time. So today I'm going to be talking about issue 21. Um, and I was kind of hoping I'd be able to skip. I I was kind of hoping I could properly skip 21 and just say it's a nothing burger, but it's like on the surface it looks like a nothing burger, but if you actually like dig a little deeper, it gets kind of messy. So we're gonna start off with the cover art, and the cover on this is definitely indicative of what you're gonna see in the interiors. I don't think they had a separate cover artist for this because this art on the cover looks just like art that you see in the rest of the comic book. Um, but it's not great art. It's not bad, but it doesn't have a very clear professional grade quality to it. It looks like fan art, like amateur fan art, not like kick ass fan art. And this is going to continue in the rest of the comic book. Uh, One of the things I'm going to jump into real quick is how many writers, or not writers, excuse me, how many people worked on this comic. Uh, and it makes you wonder why the quality of it came out the way it did. Um, for starters, I'll list all the people who worked on this. So there's Ian Flynn, who was writing it, art by Lamar Wells and Reggie Graham, and that's only for pages 1 through 10. And then after 1 through 10, it's Jennifer Hernandez, who I think I've heard her name before. I'm pretty sure she's popped up on a few other like comic book channels, like as a name that's been mentioned. But Jennifer Hernandez, and she's worked on pages 11 through 15, 17 through 18, which means 17, 18, and then page 20. And then another one, Priscilla Tremonatona, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She worked on pages 16 and 19. So, like, that's four artists, not even like the colorists, artists, the pencils and inks were done by four different people, and then one colorist, which was Heather Breckel, and then the letters were done by Shaw Lee, assistant editor Megan Brown, and editor David Mariotti. I don't know how you pronounce that. Sorry. I don't mean to like purpose. I'm not trying to purposely mispronounce people's last names. I'm just kind of illiterate sometimes. Um, but that's how many was that again in total? There's four, uh, eight, no, nine people worked on this comic. Nine people on this one comic. That is like an absurd amount of people to work on one comic, and I'm not talking like a one off a one off copy or comic, like a special edition or an anniversary comic or a graphic novel. This is a monthly issue comic, and it's got nine fucking people worked on it, which is absurd. It is 100% absurd. I have theories as to why it's like that, and maybe I'll get into them. I'll get into them later in the video. I'll try not to forget that. But in compare, like just to, like as a comparison, uh, the last issue I read, issue 20 only had 6 people. And if you're not including the assistant editor and the editor, um, it's Ian Flynn who's writing, art by Lawrence, excuse me, colors by uh, Bacardi Curry, and letters by Sean Lee. So that's 4 people worked on the comic, which is what you would see on average. Uh, and maybe for anybody who doesn't know, typically when a comic book is made, you'll have uh, let's see, you'll have a pencils guy, a inks person, and sometimes those are both the same person. Not always, but sometimes inks and pencils are 2 different people. You have your colorist, and then you have a letterer. That's like 4 people on average who make like the art of the comic book. Writer is obviously its own independent role, but usually it's like a collaborative effort between at least 4 different people. Sometimes 3 different people when it comes to the at least when it comes to the art. Sometimes artists are writers too, and sometimes the artists collaborate with the writer. I think that happens a lot of the time, but like typically the artist doesn't get like a writing credit. But comic book, especially a monthly issue, is usually a very minimum staff. The this fucking this thing here, 9 people, and it doesn't look like 9 different people worked on it. It looks like the same person made all of the art, and I think I know why. I'll get into that in a minute or two, but I wanted to cut through into the story stuff real quick. So real quick, they have this like thing that is reoccurring in at least a few of the issues I've noticed, and that is the story so far. And they tell you like where people are and stuff, and then they have this map that coincides with what's happening in the story, and it's like a map with like all the different towns and stuff. It's drawn with crayon, by the way. It's implied that a child drew this. It's implied that Cream drew this map, and it's got red X's over the characters who have been infected and the towns that have been lost. And I just want someone to explain to me, how does Cream know which towns have been lost and who's been infected? Like, is she an omnipotent being that knows all and sees all, or something like that? And we just yet to have had this revealed to us. Um, they have a roll call for this issue, and it makes very little sense because like they have Sonic, and he's not like really in it. He's just talking with Tails over the phone essentially. But very tight cast otherwise. Tails, Tangle, Whisper, and Amy. And the issue opens up with, it's like before the end of issue 20. This is basically Tails' perspective of the outbreak. And they're seeing like Eggman pour his robo gunk all over Central City. And everyone's like, oh my god, Eggman's like fucking everything up. Look, it's turning people into zombots. We all better hide. Tails hides in his house, and he starts immediately. He calls Sonic, and he talks with Sonic on the computer for a little bit, and then he's like, okay, I gotta go make a cure bullshit, and he calls Amy. He's talking to Amy, and this last panel annoys me because of Tails' positioning. So the panel is it's Tails' face has his back to his computer. His back is to his computer. And Amy's on the video call, and then like Tails' eyes are like looking upwards as if he is looking at Amy on the computer. And I mean, I don't think that's what they intended, because if you read the context of the dialogue, I think it might be implied that Tails was just walking away from his computer. But to me, it looks like Tails is like looking at Amy, who's behind him. And it bugs the shit out of me. It's like you could have very easily just turn tails around or whatever for this last panel, so he's facing towards the computer, or at least like change it where his eyes are looking. Even the lighting on it makes no sense. Uh, maybe it does make sense. I don't know where the lighting is in Tails' shop, but like he's got the light is cast down on his like the front of him. Like, is that a lamp above him, or is that the computer casting light on him? I don't actually know, so I'm just gonna stop talking about the lighting part because it works in this other panel right next to it. It's got Amy's talking to Tails. I'm gonna stop talking about the lighting part because it makes no sense. Um, it made no sense that he was facing away from the computer, and then it cuts back to Tangle and uh, Whisper. They're in the street and they're fighting Zombots, and Tangle is what's the word I was looking for? She's hitting the Zombots with her tail, and I just want to know what is the logic and reasoning as to how Tangle is able to attack Zombots and with her tail and not get infected. Because as far as I'm aware, the infection spreads through contact. Um, so like, what is the logist? Her tail is whatever the fucking writers slash artists want her tail to be in that moment. It's kind of frustrating. It's like this through all the comics. I don't think it's like well established what her tail is capable of, but maybe I'm just being picky. But this part, okay, regardless of like what her ability is with her tail, how are you like logically explaining she does not get infected by attacking Zombots with her tail? Because Shadow punched Zombots with gloved hands and he got infected. Like his hands had gloves, but he gets infected. But Tangle with her tail fully exposed just attacks these Zombots and she's perfectly fine. I don't understand it, but it cuts back to Tails, and he's in his lab, and he's doing science stuff to figure out how to solve this virus. He even goes out onto his roof to, like, collect a sample of Zombot gunk, and it makes kind of no sense because uh, it's like he came out his front door, and I'm not even going to talk about that panel. Fuck it. I don't care. I don't care. It's just. And then to reiterate on the art on this issue real quick, it's like it's so it reeks of like amateur artist. And to be clear, I myself am not like a perfect artist, but you don't need to be a skilled, masterful artist to like you don't even need to be an artist to look at something and say like this is kind of not that great. It's like if you go to a restaurant and you eat food and the food doesn't taste good, you don't have to be a chef to say this food does not taste good. Um, but it's I don't know. It's just really weird to me that the art is so like it's not bad, but it looks like a fan comic. Like it kind of reminds me of the art I've seen for I think it's like Mobius Online or Mobius Comics, I think they're called. It's basically like a fan project to like uh, continue the story of Archie Comics both after so like they're like doing a split timeline thing where it's like the reboot never happened, so they're continuing Archie Comics without the reboot, and then uh they have another one where they're continuing where the mainline comics left off. Uh and like I was saying though, it's like the art kind of reminds me of their art. I wonder if some of these people are the same. I'm not going to look into it because I don't care enough to look into it, but it just looks like amateur art. And it's kind of hard to tell the difference between any of these artists' styles. In fact, my I'll get into my theory about the art, but I feel like what happened was is they had one artist working on this, and I feel like they were not getting the art done quick enough, or they had to keep re-editing the art. So they got somebody else, some other artists in to essentially come in and uh, redo a bunch of stuff, perhaps, or just help get the art to come along because it's very like amateurish. I don't know how else to say it. Oh, this is wonderful. I just noticed this now. This panel where these like infected birds are flying over tails, and it's very clear that they just copy and pasted this blue bird. It's like they copy and pasted all, well, pretty much all the birds, sort of. Maybe not that green one, but uh, they just copy and pasted these birds and recolored a couple of them. That's wonderful. Let's create a uh, art stuff. I will say that they did this issue. They do the whole thing where I was talking about with like angled panels and stuff like that. They do that. They do that stuff pretty well in this, so I'll give them credit for that. It does look more comic booky than uh, the previous issues, where at least in well, no, I guess it's both issues, but it looks more comic booky than the previous issues where they had a lot of flat panels and flat angles that the camera was sitting at. Um, so they definitely made like better like comic booky art. It's just this. It's like the quality of the art is amateurish. It's not bad, but like if you told me this was a fan comic, I would believe you. And if you told me it was a fan comic, I'd say it's a damn good fan comic. But official art wise, it really is not that spectacular. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. And then like just to cap off the story, basically Tails is like in the middle of finding the cure, and the power goes out. Oh, and yeah, when the power goes out, it's like this panel here kind of frustrates me. It's like the way they illustrate that the power goes out is they just draw like a lot of black shadow around Tails, and I feel like a better way to do that is they could have just did like a palette swap for like darker colors. Like you could have made like the walls like a dark, uh, um, like a darker blue, and the floors like got like you can use the shadow of the floor as your color. You literally could just use the shadow of the floor, and you can even extend like the shadows on Tails, like to his whole body, to indicate that he's now in darkness because there's no light being cast. In fact, this whole panel makes no sense because he's still got light being cast on him, despite the fact that the lights went out. Unless if he's standing in a window, which that's not made clear or obvious. So, like if he's standing in dark, just cover him in shadow. You don't need to put a light source essentially. Um, Tails then like he pulls his like hard drive out and he's like running, and then he gets Freddy Fazbear jump scared by a Zombot who like breaks through the wall or the door, and he drops the hard drive. So that's cool. Now they have zero chances of curing the disease. At least Tails does. And he gets out of his house by using his mech from or his walker from Sonic Adventure 2. They do this whole thing where he's like trying to help, like he's covering people as they run to the evac shuttle, and after everyone loads up, they do this thing where the Zombots tear apart his walker, and they try to do it's like Ian Flynn wanted to do a send off to Tails' like walker from Sonic Adventure 2, and Tails is like apologizing to his machine that got broken. Like it's like I'm not saying Tails wouldn't be upset about his stuff getting broken. It's just it feels so like ham-fisted. Like remember this thing? Remember this? Um, But yeah, then he flies into the shuttle, and Amy's like, "Oh my God, we're all dead." Lol. And that's the end of this issue. It should have been like on paper a nothing burger issue, but when I was looking at it, it's like it's so bizarre because it's mainly an art complaint and not so much a story complaint. Uh, because like the story, I mean, it's generally fine. Like there's a couple of plot holes, like excuse me, Tangle's tail not getting her infected. Um, but other than that, though, there's no real like I don't know like consequence to it per se. It's just showing like this is what happened when the outbreak happened from Tails' perspective, and I don't care honestly. I don't care what happened honestly. Like Tails' perspective is, and it's not as interesting as what happened from Sonic's perspective. It's just it. I guess it just demonstrates like this is why Tails can't just magically use his computer to fix all of our problems. So I guess it does have a point. I'm just an idiot. Whatever. I think that'll do it for this episode. I'm not a good comic book reviewer. I tend to do my thinking on the fly, as you can tell. So uh yeah, the in summary, the story's not bad. It's just there. The art is super just bizarre to me. It's very like amateur grade art. Um, and that's not a bad thing if you're an amateur or a fan. It's not a good thing though when you're selling a professional comic book. Like the art needs to be pretty good. And this is like lower quality than some of the other stuff we had. And and like I said, it doesn't show that like uh what was it I said again, four people worked on this. It looks like the same person almost the whole way through. I suppose this last page looks a bit different, but um yeah, it's just I don't know. They could have done better with the art, and I don't. Maybe they couldn't though, and that's why there's fucking four different people working on it. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna like cut it off here because fuck you. Take care.